Chapter 138. The best part of coming back to the past, without a doubt, is having a young body. In his previous life, he was constantly in a state of ill health after having suffered life-threatening injuries. Despite receiving treatment, there was a limit to its effectiveness. Towards the end, he had to start his day by chewing on herbs for pain relief as if it was his meal. Compared to that, this current state, where he could move swiftly as he pleased, felt like heaven. Gale, Doyle, it's your turn now, quickly. Just as Yudhir was about to step over the unconscious man, a stranger appeared, poking his face out from between the trees. Startled, he quickly retreated. It was a young man with the typical southern complexion, a strong red tint to his skin. You are the cavalry member that Nahan spoke of? Hosanna, don't come any closer. Then Nahan appeared from behind the man, grabbing his shoulder as if to protect him and pushing him behind. Yudhir, feeling no signs of threat from the two, strained his senses towards them and opened his mouth. Where did you take the Omega Awakeners? The brothers and sisters are no longer here. Gone? Yes. By now, they have probably met with other siblings far away. Unfortunately, you are a step late. There was only one logical deduction left, since the words didn't imply that the Omega Awakeners were killed. Yudhir looked directly at the young man, who seemed extremely strained behind Nahan, and asked, So, you are the teleporter? How did you? Hosanna, the young man, looked momentarily taken aback, as if he'd been exposed. His face was a picture of confusion, unable to comprehend how Yudhir had deduced it. Well, the reason why we employed the elder siblings was because for their teleportation ability. The teleportation ability of the elder siblings, although quite limited, was most useful in unexpected circumstances during missions like this. If Yudhir had successfully helped the Awakeners escape, they planned to use that ability in the most heavily guarded section leading from the underground passage to the outside world. Teleportation is a rare ability that's hardly even heard of nowadays, but it wasn't so in the future. By the time Yudhir was nearing his end, there were quite a few exceptional teleporters within the ranks, assigned to assist the members dispatched for urgent missions. In any case, they also have a teleporter, as expected. Just because they both have the same teleportation ability, their skill levels can differ greatly. It's impossible to gauge how capable the young man might be, but a teleporter who not only assisted Nahan and his colleagues to escape, but also teleported nearly 10 Omega Awakeners, judging from his previous life's experiences, couldn't be of a weak ability. That explains why Nahan was calm, despite stirring up trouble in one of the four most heavily guarded ducal mansions in the capital, because he had such a person with him. Always prepare a secure escape route before getting into any work, just like last time. Such a cunning guy. During the tense standoff, Hosanna, the young man with a hardened face, pointed toward two of his colleagues lying at Yudhir's feet and asked, Are my colleagues dead? They have only passed out. I see. Hosanna let out a sigh of relief, only to have Nahan seize his arm and push him back. That's enough confirmation. We can't save those two right now. We must retreat. But Doyle and... The moment I step closer, I might end up just like them. Is that what you want? No, of course not. But if we just turn back like this, I wonder what he would say. Nahan, seeing the faint-hearted Hosanna, coldly retorted and looked towards the prayer house with a hint of regret. I regret not being able to save everyone, but we have done our part. He'll understand. We can save Gale and Doyle later, so... Huh? As if someone would just stand by and let that happen. Just as Yudhir was about to chime in, looking incredulous, he heard his name being called from a distance. You there? Yudhir paused unknowingly for a moment. Seizing the opportunity, Nahan quickly urged Hosanna in. Quickly, Hosanna. A burst of light erupted from Hosanna. Yudhir, are you alright? Before Yudhir could even raise his hand to attack, the two vanished in the brick of night. Following their disappearance, Gakane appeared, having run up with his shadow clone. His gaze rapidly scanning the two men collapsed at Yudhir's feet and the one prayer house. What happened? There are a ton of corpses over there. It's been eventful. Yudhir glared at the spot where Nahan and Hosanna had disappeared, then turned away. Bind the unconscious one here and have the clone carry them. Some of the awakeners who were imprisoned in the annex are inside the prayer house. They need to be taken as well. Where's Ever? Ever has successfully rescued Dandelion, but since you weren't at the promised location and the passage was filled with bodies, plus the signal you left, Ever went to relay the news to the commander, and I came here first. Good job. Did you see the elder priest Beltrail inside the passage? Yeah. Gakane scratched his head, giving a somewhat awkward smile. He fainted after screaming at the sight of me, but he's alive. What about the evidence I told you to find in the annex basement? There was more left than I expected, so I filled my pocket and buried the rest on the floor. That should be fine, right? Yes, that's sufficient. Though he hadn't expected things to turn out this way, he was relieved that Nahan's comrades hadn't made it to the main building where Kishir was. Kishir, having heard the news, would take care of the rest. It felt incredibly comfortable knowing that he didn't have to bear all the responsibility alone. Thinking about Kishir, who should be rescuing the third prince, Revlin, and dealing with the raging Duke Apeto, Yudhir sighed deeply. After catching his breath, he only then noticed the subtle throbbing in his gloved fingers. Despite trying to use as little strength as possible, it seemed there was still some strain. Thanks to the gem embedded in the sword and the strap given by Enon, the progress of the pain was slower than before, a fortunate turn of events. Yudhir, are you feeling okay? You didn't get hurt somewhere else, did you? Despite only glancing at his fingers, Gakane seemed to sense something was off, looking over at him with concern. Yudhir quickly composed his expression and shook his head. No, but you seem... At the tail end of the words, Gakane tilted his head and extended a hand to touch Yudhir's forehead. What's going on? You don't seem feverish. I'm fine, just leave me alone. Yudhir brushed away his hand lightly and started walking towards the prayer house. If you're not feeling well, you can't hide it like before. If you suppress your pain, it will only get worse, understand? Ever since seeing Yudhir's arm turn completely dark purple due to the entanglement of the small spot in the east, Gakane's worries had noticeably increased. To be honest, even if both of Yudhir's arms were gone, he would still be much stronger than Gakane. However, seeing the sincere worry in Gakane's eyes, he couldn't bring himself to say that. Yudhir sighed, looking at the red-haired handsome man following him, full of worry and nagging. Let's go quickly. The day when everyone had their eyes fixed on the potential emergence of the first ever noble-born cavalry member had passed, and the cavalry and the capital was once again in an uproar, this time for a different reason. My goodness, the elder priest Beltrail was caught doing awful things with dozens of awakeners. I attended the service he held at the Grand Temple once, and I would have never imagined him capable of such things. How could a priest who serves God do such things? It's no wonder he ended up like this. Enon, a man with a head full of ashy hair, was passing by the people chattering excitingly in the market when he suddenly stopped to listen. All day long, wherever he went, everyone was talking about the same thing, the terrible incident that had occurred at the Apeto house the previous day. The third prince, who was the problem child, has only been left as an honorary member of the cavalry. Ultimately, the entire Apeto house has cancelled all festival schedules and has declared they won't be receiving any visitors. Looks like they have lost. In the end, the only winner is Duke Paleta. Wasn't it the cavalry who discovered that terrible thing? When the conversation shifted to the cavalry, the people who had been adding their own comments to the conversation wore different expressions, filled with anticipation and excitement. Haha, that's right. The commoner members of the cavalry were the ones who discovered it, which must have hurt the pride of the nobles. They must have closed the mansion doors out of shame. Honestly, it's refreshing to see. How many servants went to work at that family only to end up dead? In the past, I used to be a bit scared whenever I saw an awakener, but thanks to the cavalry, I don't feel that way anymore. Right, doesn't Amber from the upper house has a daughter who's an awakener? Haha, who knows? She might join the cavalry when she grows up. That would be a real rise to success. After hearing that, Enon started moving again. The place he stopped at was a small fruit stop, fitting with the humble market. 2 lemons. The young shop owner, who had been busily moving boxes, didn't bat an eye at Enon's abrupt request for lemons.